we got for 30? Where did I lose that tab? Here it is. Okay. All right. Question of the day is, what would most people think when they first see your character? Or what I guess what do you assume people think about you when they see you out in the world?
That's a good one.
I'll be honest, I don't think Maz actually thinks about how other people think of her. Like, she doesn't really care too much. Probably because she's in her own little reality, but I don't think she really cares.
Fair. All right.
I think, like, Braz, like, on one hand, kind of doesn't care, but on the other hand, like, really hopes that she comes off as a badass. Like, all her tattoos and scars, but, like, she just doesn't really have the attention span to, like, invest that much interest. Like, it's more of a fleeting thought.
Okay.
I guess that made me think, even though Maz doesn't care what people think of her, she just assumes that they think of her the way she views herself, which is like a super ninja mastermind.
I love that.
Nice. Okay. Grow to smoker.
It's my exist to bring happiness to people. So like, I hope that that's what. Like, I hope that when people see me, that gives you joy. Don't throw it out. Is kind of it's like I think it probably comes across a little bit as more of a strained happiness sometimes.
Okay.
Like he's desperate to make sure that everybody around him is happy, so he's constantly like telling the bad jokes and juggling and just doing dumb, and self-disparaging things, so that he brings joy and doesn't get thrown out.
Nice.
Well, look at that face. Who wouldn't feel joy?
Right? They don't. Something's wrong with them.
All right. How about Grotus? I see your thing lighting up, but I do not hear anything. Let me make sure. Yeah, your volume's up there. You're not muted.
I couldn't hear him either.
Yeah, Sam, if you've been talking at all this whole time, we haven't heard anything.
We'll give him a sec. Still nothing. I see you lighting up again, but still nothing. He'll be back. All right. We'll give you a moment. That's fine. All right. So I'll wait for Grotus to come on back, hopefully with audio. Let's see. Well, I guess, does anybody remember what we got up to last time?
No.
Not much.
We love you, DM.
We kind of made a new friend.
Kind of, yeah. kind of.
Thought we were gonna die in a cave, but we didn't.
Yeah. Yeah, you guys had some you had some trauma bonding with with this escaped former member of the Celestial Menagerie.
Oh right. Wasn't he like kind of wolf-like?
He's well, technically he is a Bargist. A greater Bargist, actually. But when he was, well, kind of almost in captivity of sorts, drug-addled captivity at the Celestial Menagerie, he was kind of kept in his goblinoid form instead of his Bargist form. But yeah, kind of a big goblin-y wolf man thing. But yeah, he managed to escape somewhat recently and was paranoid that the mistress was after him because, as you all well know, usually when people leave the menagerie, they disappear.
Because she's a hoe.
Yeah, because she fucking sucks and we hate her.
Big old bitch.
Can you guys hear me now?
Hey, there we go.
Not very, but yeah.
Okay, so for Grotus's how he sees himself and other people see him, looks, feels, and is a piece of trash. Presents that to the world, and it's sort of just kind of like watch how this piece of trash can like blow through the wind and artfully splat against the ground.
Nice. All right. Poetic.
True.
Very nice. I don't know where did you hear any of what we were saying about what happened last time?
I heard that there was a bar guest who has come around to our side after being in a shitty situation with the Celestial Menagerie.
Yeah, like for the most part, like it's still kind of up in the air if if he is going to join up. But at least he is not trying to kidnap people from the circus anymore.
Oh yeah, because he kidnapped the dwarves, right?
One of them. Yeah, he kidnapped one of the dwarven
Yeah.
throwers. You don't know their name. Nobody actually knows what any of their names are. They don't speak.
They don't need a name.
Yeah, they don't need a
No.
name. They're cool.
Important.
Yeah,
Yeah, this dude's not like joining us, but like when we're back in town, we can crash at his place.
Yeah, but yeah, he like I said, he'd escaped from the Celestial Menagerie and was very paranoid, especially with regards to circus people, and he assumed like he'd been hiding out in this cave, kind of up behind where you guys were setting up, and basically he thought that you were with the menagerie and coming to get him, because you were circus and circus bad. And yeah, and so he was hiding out in this cave and had these wolves that he was able to communicate with that were kind of doing some of his dirty work. But yeah, you managed to get in there and were able to notice, he had like a brand on him, which all of you also technically have somewhere. Where that is up to you. But you do have a small brand somewhere. Unless you did something really drastic to get rid of it. I don't know. You might have. You probably would have had to cut a chunk out to get rid of it. But any of you that were in the menagerie before, you would have a brand somewhere from that time. But yeah, you were able to recognize that, and some of you remembered who they were. You didn't really know them very well because they were in the sideshow and they were very drug-addled just to try to keep them in their goblinoid form. But yeah, you were able to make a connection there and had some trauma bonding with this guy. Let him know that you guys were also all former people from that circus and had escaped and managed to continue living and do this now. You guys, you left the circus and you weren't disappeared from the earth. Like, seems to be the common knowledge among people at the menagerie. But yeah, so he's still up in that cave. Whether he comes and joins you guys, kind of up in the air. He might not. We'll see. We'll see what happens with that. But at least he'll leave you guys alone, and he's not going to try to attack you guys anymore. So yeah, and we did get the tent set up. So you guys are ready to go, and I know that there was some things I remember people were saying they wanted to do in town. There is some other stuff we got to do in town, like we got to do a little bit of promoting the circus and stuff, because this is your first show here in Escadar, and we want to get that spread around before we actually do the show and see what kind of turnout we get here. I feel like I remember like Honker had something they were wanting to do in town. In particular, I don't know if you remember what that was, but I feel like there was something that you had mentioned. But yeah, so it's the morning after this, because this was like late in the night, like middle of the night when this happened, because you had all been sleeping, well, except Braz, who was keeping watch. These wolves that were working for him had come and attacked the camp as a distraction while he stole one of the dwarven throwers away, and you guys went and dealt with that whole situation. So it's the next morning after that. And things are set up. You know, the Big Top's ready for a show, but we still got to do a little bit of planning on how we want that to go about, and of course any other things around town we want to do. So, was there anything that people were needing?
Dude, I need to go to the toy maker's shop.
That's right. It was a toy maker shop. Okay. Yeah. All right. So, let's see. Was there anything anybody else was needing in town as well, aside from?
Oh, my thing is a moot point now. I was gonna go see like a library to figure out if there's any local lore on creatures, but we figured out what the creature was. So.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Anything else that people were needing? Sounds good. All right. So, so Honker, Braz, you two decide to head into town in the morning and look around a bit, get some things done. In terms of a toy maker shop, let's see here. Let's see what we find. All right. So. You go looking around the city trying to find specifically a toy maker, and you aren't able to find like specifically like a specifically toy maker that's all they do shop, but you do find a hello mouthy pumpkin, yes. You do find kind of a I guess it'd be kind of a pawn shop of sorts. So it's a little shop called Squeckly Clean, and that is spelled SQUEKLYCLEEN, Squeckly Clean.
Okay.
Yeah, and so you head inside here, and in here you find a pretty wide mix of things. Like there definitely are, there's toy implements here, there's various tools, there's furniture, it's kind of a mix of everything. And you see kind of in the middle of one of the narrow aisles in here, there is a gnome sitting on a leather mat with a bunch of tools and mechanical equipment spilling from boxes around him. And he seems to be in the process of trying to clean some things. Much to the name of the shop, everything is quite squeckly clean. He seems to be doing a good job, at least on that front. Everything has a nice gleam to it, if it can gleam. Maybe some things that usually don't gleam still have a gleam somehow. This gnome knows his stuff on the cleaning front. And he is in the middle of polishing what looks like he's going through a little crate of it looks like a collection of doorknobs and polishing them with all of the passion and tenderness a clean, loving gnome can muster.
So, yeah. Hey there, I'm sorry to interrupt you polishing your knobs there. But I was wondering.
I didn't even think of that. God
You walked right into it.
I walked right into that one. That was good.
I was wondering, do you have any dolls in stock? I could use some new friends.
Dolls. Yes, I believe I might have some. I don't think they are. I don't. Are you looking for like kind of a soft doll, or more like a wooden or a metal type one? I don't think I have any soft ones. If you're trying to find one for like a child or something, but if you're looking for some sort of like a toy you can play with, maybe like a wood or metal one, I might have one of those. It might be more of like a tiny mannequin, maybe, if that would fit.
He just shrugs. He's kind of indifferent, just looking for a friend.
Okay. Well, the gnome decides to go try to find what he was recalling. See if he can appease his customer here. And you hear his little feet as he kind of scampers back elsewhere in the shop here, and you hear the sounds of various kind of crates being moved around and things like that. And eventually you hear and his little feet come running back over here, and he is holding a. It is a. If you've ever seen like one of those like kind of posable artists dolls for like figure drawing, it's basically one of those. This one, it looks like it is mostly made out of wood, and the little ball joints at like the knees and the elbows and the hands and stuff are like little kind of metal ball bearing type things. It's got kind of a crudely drawn, probably by a child at some point, little face on the head that's been drawn onto the wood with, maybe like charcoal or something. You're not entirely sure. But it's got kind of little lopsided eyes and a little smile on it. But he kind of holds this up, and he's like, "Is this kind of what you're looking for?"
Yes, that's perfect. How much do you want for this? I noticed there's a few chips here and there, and some of these ball bearings are kind of rusty, but I'd still like to take it off your hands.
Oh no, it's not rusty, is it? Oh, I can't believe I would have missed something like that. Well, I best get something like this out of the shop. Then we can't have a little bit of rust and uncleanliness in here. What do you say? Just for you. We'll see. What about 3 copper for this?
Yeah, sure. Sounds fair to me.
Wonderful. And he kind of runs over to you, and he kind of hands it to you. It's about half as tall as you are, Honker. Like it's decently sized. But yeah, it comes about halfway up you, and he kind of sets it down next to you, and he's like, I can see the resemblance a little bit already.
Honker kind of grins, and he says, "It won't be too long, and we'll look just like each other. Just you wait."
Well, I hope you have a good time with them. Thanks for stopping in.
Honker will bow and he'll say, "You have a wonderful day now," and he'll head back to the circus.
All right, and then Owen goes back to polishing his knobs. All right, so
Apparently I'm 12.
yep. All right, so Braz, you come along. I know we already found out a bit about this Vargas, but was there anything else you were wanting to look up at the library, or anything else you were wanting to do?
No, that was literally all I was trying to figure out.
Okay. All right. Well, you came along and made sure Honker didn't get into too much trouble, aside from making a new friend. We'll see what comes of that.
I will stop somewhere and find a little treat to take back to Maz and to Scorch.
Yeah.
All right. What kind of treat are you thinking?
something sweet for Moz, and then something meat-based for Scorch.
Okay. Okay. Let's see. Let's take a look here. All right. So you find just kind of in kind of the general market square area. You do find a few kind of street vendors coming along here. You do find a kind of baked goods type vendor with some various little pastries, and managed to pick one of those up for Maz. And then on the meat front, they did actually also have kind of a meat pasty instead along with their pastries.
Perfect.
And you figure, a little like croissant dough around some meat probably was fine. So, it's got meat in it.
Gotta have your carbs.
Yep. All right. So, you guys make your way back to the circus here. And, things are getting set up. You do, as you're kind of coming back to, out of town, you're actually met along the way by Andira, who was the head of she was just the guard, wasn't it?
She was the one we had to get permission from, right?
Yeah, I'm just trying to remember what exactly it was, what it was that she was. She was some sort of city official. I can't remember exactly what her title is right now. But yeah, she was a city official that you guys had met with and convinced to get your spot out here outside of town. And she was heading your way. It sounds like, word of the Big Top getting all set up and things kind of getting into gear had reached her, and so she was actually heading down that way to see how things were coming along. Because she did give you guys a week to kind of get things going and do your first show. You're only a couple days into that week, so you still have plenty of time. But, since things looks like they're getting ready to go, you wanted to check in and see how things are going. But yeah, you're coming out of the gate, and Hunker and Braz, and you see Andira, and she sees you two as you kind of come through the gate and make your way to go head down towards the Big Top. And she says, "Oh, yes, you two were with the circus, right down there? The lost wonders, was it, right?"
Hunker will immediately, as she's talking, whip out some bowling pins and begin juggling and kind of circling around her. And he's like, "Why, yes, of course, we are from the great and mysterious Circus of Wayward Wonders." And, pop, some little cantrip and kind of move, doing a little show while he's answering her question.
And she kind of nods, like, yeah, Wayward, that's right, Wayward Wonders, my apologies. It seems like things are going well. I was actually just heading down that way. Do you mind are you heading back that way? You mind if I accompany you?
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
All right. So she joins you two in heading back down the way to the circus. She notices your little kind of metal mannequin that you got there, Hunker. Can't really hide it. It's like half your size. She's like, "Oh, is that part of your act?"
He'll kind of stiffen up a little bit. He'll turn and say, "No, this is my new friend.
Oh,
None of your business."
Oh, I am sorry. I understand. Well, whatever it is you do in your act, I'm sure it will be wonderful. Well, it looks like looks like you managed to get the area cleared out a bit and got the tent all set up. I hope it wasn't too much too much trouble for you, aside from the clearing of the rocks and the brush around here. Did you run into any issues?
Well, we ran into a few critters, but they've been dealt with.
Yes, from the woods behind, I assume, up into the valley. Yeah, I'm sure there are some wild creatures in there that may venture out to see what the hubbub is.
But I think things are smooth sailing from here.
Good. And you haven't had any trouble from the menagerie on the other side of town, I hope. I mean, I know they are, your rival performances. I know Delamar was a bit of an oaf in the office there with you all when you first came to town, but you haven't had any issues, I hope.
Hey, I got 99 problems, but a bitch ain't one.
Grotus says we won't involve the city guard in any issues with the other circus.
That's right.
Andira, her face gets a little serious and says, "Well, I mean, if there are issues that would affect the citizenry, please let the city guard know so we can take care of it. But I'm glad to know that you haven't had any harassment. I know the Mistress Dusklight, she does do quite a bit of business and brings a lot of tourism to the city, but there are rumors sometimes that I have heard, and sometimes they can be a little rough around the edges, but I'm glad to hear that you guys have been okay so far. We're all looking very very forward to your first show. I see, with the tent all set up now, probably within the next few days, I assume. I haven't seen much word around town, though. I assume you're going to paper the town and get the word out?
Well, part of our new eco program isn't to spread paper all around town, but we will continue to do small performances and show people just a tantalizing glimpse of the wonderful W word that kind of goes along with this theme, things that you could find at the Circus of Wayward Wonders.
Great. I am glad to hear it. And by this point, you guys have made it to where the big top's all set up, and the various circus workers are they're all kind of going around. Things are still getting set up. As you step inside the, might as well give you the pick of the big top here. As you guys step inside the curtain door of this, inside you can see various people from the circus are working on getting the bleachers kind of set up in here, taking them out of their, they kind of break down into these crates, and all the pieces get pulled back out and put back together. They all kind of lock together and things. It's a process you guys have gone through many times before, but things are still getting set up in the big top now that the big top is set up. And Andira's in here. She's kind of looking around, taking a look at things, just kind of eyeing the general flow of the place, and seems to be kind of nodding approvingly. She things are looking good as far as as much as she knows about circuses and how they go, but things look above board, from according to her. And she kind of looks down at you two here and says, your other compatriots, are they around here as well?
Oh, I'm sure they're here somewhere.
Which ones are you looking for?
Lead her on a merry goose chase to find everyone.
All right. So Braz, Hawker, you guys are happy to lead Andira around the big top and kind of around the area here, looking for Grotus and for Maz. But once you guys do get everyone together here, she the main reason the couple reasons that she wanted to come out here. So once you're all here together, she's like, well, I did have a couple things I wanted to come out and see here today. So one, I heard things were mostly set up. I see the big tents here. The interior you're still in the process of, but things are looking good to me so far. I'd say, time well spent and good work. I'm glad that I gave you the chance. I'm interested to see the performance that you all put on. The other thing I wanted to come out here and say is that, again, I reiterated this to your friends here as we were walking down here, but please, if there are any issues at all that come up with the other circus on the other side of town, please do let the city guard know, and we will take care of it. We don't want any sort of brawl or issues coming up, going on here in the tent, especially with the citizenry around. We want to make sure they are safe and entertained. But I know that competition can be fierce, especially in the world of show business. Tensions can get high and emotions can get heated. But please let us handle it. Do not take things into your own hands. And hopefully everything goes
Maz
well.
just glances over at Grotus.
What? I do shit yet.
Yet.
Well, please do not do any shit of any kind. We do have the populace here, and they would appreciate not being shat upon.
Oh, I'm gonna do all kinds of shit. People are gonna love it. You'll see what I mean.
Conker pulls his pants down, and he's like, "I'm made of wood. I can't do shits."
Oh god.
that actually gets a little chuckle out of Vandira. She thinks she thinks that's pretty good. She says, "Well, if this is the kind of humor we can expect in your show, I think the citizens of Escadar will be pleased. We could all use a little silliness sometimes, don't you think?"
Indeed.
It'll be silly, safe, goofy town fun.
Silly, safe, goofy town fun. All right. Well, wonderful. Well, I will leave you all to it here, and look forward to hearing more word about the actual show itself. And I am sure that I will be there among the other citizens of Escadar as we come to see what you have to offer us. And she takes her leave and heads back into town. All right.
Here, Maz. Treat.
All right.
Treat!
Treats.
Maz just holds it in both of her hands and examines it very carefully and then very gracefully shoves the whole thing in her face.
Gracefully, of course.
She's a lady.
As you do. As you do. All right. So, as things are getting finalized here, we got to do a little bit of planning. Because the main thing, I had mentioned this last time, is we're going to try to get our first show in Escadar done here today. And like we've done before, we got some things we have to sort out before we do so. So, the first thing that we want to take a look at here is, I can't remember if we actually had looked into this much before in our previous shows that we had done, is there are upgrades that you can do to the circus, whether those are permanent upgrades that you get once and then they're just there for future shows going forward. There are also temporary upgrades which you can get to just kind of help for that particular session of the show. So, in terms of things you can get, let's see. So, just to kind of give an example of some things. Let's see. the ones that what is our prestige level right now? Because some of these we have to have a certain amount of prestige to get. Let's see which ones we have access to. Where is that sheet? Okay, so our prestige is 3. All right. So in terms of permanent upgrades that we can buy at this point in the circus, we can buy safety nets. This will add additional safety nets into the flooring areas to further prevent any injuries or anything like that from failed trick checks, things like that. That's 20 GP if you wanted to permanently upgrade and add safety nets, additional safety nets. There is a you can actually get a tent expansion if you wanted to, which would be 40 GP, which would add more space into the tent. This would be kind of covering the additional fabric things that would need to be gotten to kind of have additional customers or additional space for the sideshow folks, things like that. Whatever you want to do with it, that is a possible upgrade. And then what is the you could also get you could get watermarked tickets, which are kind of a fancier design of the tickets for the circus. So they have, the Circus of Waverly Wonders logo on them. That's kind of watermarked into the paper, and they look very nice. In terms of those are the 3 permanent upgrades we have available so far at our current level of prestige. There are other ones that we'll have access to later, but so far just those. And then for temporary upgrades that you could do, there is beer. You can purchase some alcohol to sell to your patrons, which is 5 GP for the beer that you would need for that. And then the other one would be merchandise basic. Let's see what this does. So this
Did
would...
you just say we get fucking merch? Like, I mean, this is a given as to which one.
Yeah. So the merchandise basic, that one would be 20 GP. So these 2 are both temporary. So these would be, you'd buy it, and this would be for this show. If you want to do it in future shows, you'd have to buy it again for future shows. So beer and basic merch. So let me look at the description here of the merchandise and what exactly that actually does. I see. So what the merchandise does is, so if you recall the way that the circus functions work, there's the anticipation that you generate for the show, which we do by going out and advertising, doing little shows in the streets, whatever you do, whatever we decide to do to try to get people to come and see what's up and buy a ticket. And then that anticipation factors into, you do all your tricks, you do all the show, and you generate excitement from those to, see if the show is a success. Like if you lived up to the anticipation, if you didn't live up to the anticipation, things like that. So with the merchandise, what that does is it lets anticipation from today's show carry over, like a portion of it, like a quarter of it actually. So at this point, 25% would carry over to the next show that you guys do, because your merch should be out there. People are wearing Wayward Wonders t-shirts, hats, whatever merch you guys decide you think would be interesting for the circus to have. That would be out there in Escadar and kind of continuously bolstering anticipation until the next show. So you start with some anticipation out of the bat from that. So yeah, that's how that works. Let me actually check on the description of the other one, see what it does. So you have details. Okay, so the beer generates additional anticipation for this show, and tricks tricks that involve the audience somehow will get a +2 circumstance bonus. However, it does also trigger a heckler event because, of course, some people are going to get too drunk. So you're going to have to deal with that when that comes up with the beer. So it has its pluses and downsides. What are the other ones here? Let me see what the descriptions of these other things are so we can actually see what they do. Because all of these have bonuses. Permanent upgrade descriptions. Here we go. So safety net. Yeah, so safety net changes the DC of checks to prevent injury. So if there's instances where a trick fails and somebody's falling to the floor, that DC they have to pass to not get injured is much, much lower because of that. And let's see, the tent expansion. What does this do? Oh, this increases the maximum anticipation limit. So you can generate more anticipation without reaching the current cap just because there's not enough room for people. And then the watermarked tickets. Okay. So the watermarked tickets help prevent forgeries. So since they're very intricate, they make the forgeries near impossible and reduce the sale of counterfeit tickets. And it increases the prestige of the circus in terms of the payout that you guys get because of that. Because people are getting in here with genuine tickets instead of potential counterfeited ones. So yeah, that is what those do. So are there any of these that you guys think you would want to do this time around?
For the temporary buff, I do like the merchandising they do. And for a more permanent buff, I think expanded 10, because if we can get more participation, I know we can put more excitement.
Okay.
What y'all think?
So I will say just so you're aware of, like, in terms of how much anticipation that you have right now. So the big tent allows you to go up to, I think it was 50, it said, instead of 25. Yeah. So currently your anticipation cap is 25. And for reference, the last show you guys did in Aberton, the anticipation that you had was 9. So we're not getting to that limit yet. So like you certainly can get the tent expansion and put the money in for that if you really want to. But just know we have not gotten close to that anticipation limit yet.
Maybe that one was
so yeah, so that one we might want to wait a little bit on until it becomes an issue. But yeah. What are we thinking? So yeah, merch, I heard. So
merch and how about watermark tickets?
Watermark tickets. That could be good. Especially given that we have this competing circus problem. That could be good to have.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking the watermark tickets as well.
I'm good with that.
Okay. And the watermark tickets are a permanent upgrade. So going forward, that would mean the tickets are always watermarked. So that one's a permanent one. So that is nice. That's just a one time. So if we do go with that, the watermark tickets are 50 GP, and so that's one time, and you're good on that. And the merch is 20 GP. So let's see, what do we got in terms of cash?
Yeah, well, how are we sitting?
Well, I know we found a nice bit of cash in our little forest adventures in that tree. Let's see, inventory of the party. Okay, yeah, we're pretty good right now. We got, looks like 73 gold pieces, and then we also have a couple platinum pieces. It looks like, which were the ones from the from that tree. So definitely affordable. That would take out most of the current in GP form that we have, but you guys still got a nice bit in platinum still, so.
Well, and I'm just looking here. We got like a crap ton of stuff on the party sheet. Is there any of that stuff that like we can sell that like none of us want?
You probably could. So yeah, let's take a look at that. So we're going to go ahead and pop open the party sheet up there. Top right corner, a little icon looks like a group of people under the tool menu, if the tool menu is not rolled open right now. And then you're going to want to go to the inventory tab in the party sheet. And all the stuff that is in the top right box, there's a couple random coins, but those will eventually get sorted as we get more money and do the automatic distribution for that. But the items in here, if there's anything that people are wanting to take, feel free to drag them into your own personal inventory. Otherwise, if there's stuff that you guys are wanting to get rid of, we can probably dump some stuff in town, I'm sure. And if there's any of these things you're wondering about what the heck they are, we can take a look at them and see if we know what they are, or if they would need to be identified in some way.
So that Dionychus egg. Yeah, we should.
Okay.
Golden Laws Church Illuminated Holy Book. I don't think that's super relevant to our game. Flying Fish Golden Statuette.
So for the Dionychus egg, we went and sold that. It looks like that is worth 40 GP, especially to that would especially be of interest to some of the more like scholarly locations in town may have an interest in that for research purposes. So yeah, we can certainly sell that if we want to get rid of that egg, which we got in that one. No, I think we actually got that in the tower, in Aaron Tower.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, that's one thing we can certainly sell. Are we all good on selling the Dionychus egg?
Oh, hell yeah.
Okay, I'll sell that. We'll add 40 there. Okay. Anything else?
Personally, I don't see anything else that I want in there, so I'm good with anything going bye-bye.
Okay. How about the rest of you? Any of these items in here? There are some amulets and some vaguely magic items in here that could be.
I think Maz would want the beckoning cat amulet
Okay.
and the flying fish golden statuette.
Okay. Let me toss those in your inventory here. There's that.
I have some things in my inventory I'd like to sell. Can I toss those in the party sheet?
Yeah, if there's stuff that you have in your inventory that you're wanting to sell, I figure you guys are all kind of coming together. You're like, okay, we want to get some stuff going for the circus. Let's go look through all this shit that we've gathered, that we've all tossed in this wagon haphazardly, and, and go through and see what we could sell to help people out. So yeah, if there's stuff we want to get rid of, this is a good time to.
We can probably sell both of the tridents.
Yes. Let's see. How are those? Okay, those don't sell for too much, but that's still cash. So let's go ahead and sell.
Okay, every little thing helps.
Yep, those are just 1 GP each. So let's sell these.
Just 1 GP.
Okay.
We can probably sell the 4 tiny emeralds.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All good on selling the emeralds?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's see. That's going to be.
Anybody wanting the elegant clothing?
I'm quite all right, thank you.
right, we'll sell the elegant clothing. Okay.
The 4 crystal vial, are those just empty or do those actually have something in them?
The crystal vials are currently empty. They do not have anything in them.
Do we need those, guys?
Not unless you want them for your alchemy.
Nope.
Okay.
I'm surprised Grotus hasn't claimed the strong spirits.
I know.
Oh, I'm already loaded up.
Grotus has got better things in the back.
We'll save those for bribery.
All right, all
That
right.
could be useful.
Yeah, we
They're
don't
probably just gonna disappear from the party sheet.
at some point.
One by one.
Yeah, we don't have to sell everything in here. If there's stuff that you're just kind of undecided on, we can just leave it in here. That's
Yeah,
perfectly
I
fine.
think we're good with what we've sold. I mean, we sold the stuff that we're obviously never going to use, like fancy clothes and...
What about the 6 silk pillows?
Excuse you, comfort is everything.
Are you taking the pillows, Moz?
Yes.
All right, we'll give
All 6 of them?
Yes.
Good for you.
She's gonna make herself a nest.
I love it. I love it. Oh, I gotta do this like one by one. 1, 2, 3. There you go. Gotta work for this with pillows.
I feel like the character development really comes out when we're either like distributing shit or selling shit.
This is great. I love this.
When there's absolutely no focus on the story.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
that got us a bit more cash.
Yeah, that was actually pretty nice. So let's go ahead and distribute this.
Yeah, those 4 emeralds got
Well-
us a lot of money.
Well, the biggest thing was the egg, because that was 40 on its own. But yeah, that distributed a bit more. Definitely have a lot more padding our pockets here after a little trip to. Maybe we took a trip to Squiggly Clean even and sold him some more things to polish. So I'm sure he is happy to have some more wares. So if we're doing both the tickets and the merch, so 50 and 60, 70, so 70 GP. All right, so if I just change, does this just do a equal amount for everybody if I change it from here? I think so.
We're about to find out, aren't we?
Yeah, we'll find out. Okay, it's 189 right now, but I'm gonna change it. Oh, I can't change it from here. All right, so it looks like I gotta go. So I guess everybody go ahead and take. Let's do an even amount. So 70 4 ways. So 15. Like take like 16. Yeah, so 17 GP ish. We'll round it down. So we don't have to deal with halvesies.
Do we just need to add it to our character sheet?
You're going to want to take 17 GP away because you're all contributing to buying the.
Oh, I misunderstood.
Yeah,
Okay.
this is for the watermark tickets, the fancy tickets, and then also getting a merch booth set up so you can distribute your hot mixtapes and whatever else. So yeah, well, we have merch. What are we selling? What are we selling for merch? What kind of merch does Wayward Wonders have?
Ashtrays.
Oh,
Ashtrays. All right.
and it locked and loaded, didn't you?
Yes.
Fantastic. All right, there's got to be a place I can write this down in this circus show sheet here. Let's see. All right, it's permanent. Where can I put the permanent upgrades? Is there a spot in here for this? Gonna guess here.
I mean, posters I think would be cool. Maybe like
Slap bracelets.
Slap bracelets.
maybe like commemorative cups. People like cups.
People do like their commemorative cups for some reason, yeah. All right. So safety
Maz
net.
thinks we should sell pet rocks.
Well, that's just a no-brainer right there.
All right, let me actually put up a note here. Let's see. Show merch. Okay. So we got ashtrays. We got commemorative cups. We got posters. All right, all right.
If it wouldn't feel mildly offensive, Maz would suggest little honker dolls, but I feel like that would give Honker an identity crisis.
Fair point.
You're acting like he's not already exhibiting signs of a severe identity crisis.
We don't want to make it worse, okay?
Yeah, we were all there for the dinosaur incident at the air tower. We don't want to have a weird time again.
I mean, I wouldn't say that. I'm always down for a weird time. Just not at the expense of Hunker's psyche.
True, true.
Contrary to her, I am down to have a weird time at the expense of my own psyche. So let's do this.
All right, all right, all right. We'll do a little honker.
You know those are going to be our best sellers.
See, so the question is for the little honker dolls: are we wanting them to be like little kind of plush honkers, or like wooden?
I would say wooden because I'm sorry, every parent is always like, "You have enough stuffed animals. You have enough dolls."
All right, all right. All right, sounds like a plan. I think that's a good. I think that's a good list for basic merch. I love it. This is just such a great little, just random sort of ashtrays, cups, posters, and little dolls. I love it.
Look, we're reaching out to
We're
everyone.
marketing masters.
Indeed, this is gonna be good. All right. So let's see. Okay, so the second step here for the circus setup here in Escadar is we will want to decide if currently we have all the tricks that everybody can do in the show, but there are also roles in the show, non-performer roles that can be done behind the scenes along with the other circus workers to help with things. So if any of you are wanting to not perform in this particular one, there are a variety of non-performer roles that we can go into. Is there any of you that are not wanting to do a trick at the thing today, or
Be
Maz
interested.
can, yeah, Maz can.
must be non-performer? Okay, so here's what we got in terms of non-performer roles. So we've got, and if you want any more details about what this would do, let me know. So we have animal handler, backup clown, band leader, carnival barker, clown coordinator, costumer, lighting, medic, pyrotechnic, and security guard.
Oh, you know I'm interested in pyro.
Maz is gonna need to be a security guard.
All right, let's see.
Sounds like we're both playing to our strengths. Fair, I love it.
All right, so here's the description of security guard, and you can decide whether you want to do this or not. So security guard, what this does is if there are any roles of hecklers triggered by random circus events, they are negated.
Yeah, let's do that.
That sounds super
I fe-
helpful.
I feel like Mistress Dusklight Light is gonna have some plants.
Okay.
That's a fair assumption.
All right, so let me note that here in our table here. So non-performer roles, Moz. Security guard. All right, sounds good. So we got that, and everybody else, all the other three of you, you're all going to be doing your acts.
Oh, what's the pyrotechnic thing?
Oh, sure. Let me. Yeah, I guess if any of you have any other questions about these, yeah, let me know. The pyrotechnic is trick checks with the fire trait generate double excitement.
Excitement from fiery tricks.
Yeah, so that would be So if say Braz was doing their fire tricks, and we had a pyrotechnic non-performer role that somebody was doing, that would get double excitement. That's what that would do.
But it would have to be Braz doing the pyrotechnics, because not just anybody can do fire trait.
Well, we also have fire eaters.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are also the other circus members that have their show things that they do that do fire as well. So
Yeah, I'll go ahead and this time around I'll do the pyrotechnic thing.
Okay.
I haven't been performing very well in our shows, so
Let me actually see.
Yeah, I just feel like Maz's talent isn't as good for big shows, so she's better being the muscle.
Yeah, so that is the one nice thing about the non-performer roles is like even though you're not doing a thing and adding in your particular trick bonuses and things, that can help your other party members if you're doing things that help other party members, and then it'll also help other NPCs if it comes into effect on the NPCs as well. So so Braz, if you're wanting to do pyrotechnic and help out with any other fire related tricks that happen, cool.
I will do that this time around.
Okay. And Grotus and Hunker, you're still good on the spotlight?
Yep.
Cool. All right. Sweet. That is good. Let's see. Just take a look in here real quick. Okay.
Bad weather.
All right. Bad weather. Okay, so this is the roll for random circus event that will happen when the circus goes on. And this time it was bad weather. So what this does is trick checks with the aerial. So any aerialist tricks or fire tricks will take a circumstance penalty. So probably good that we had the pyrotechnics to help with that. And trick checks with the earth trait will get a +2 circumstance, and if the show is successful, the payout is doubled.
Oh, nice.
Ooh, all right. So if you pull it off, even with the rain, good stuff. Good cash. All right, so that'll be interesting. Let's see.
Think we can do it.
All right. So starting anticipation. Let's see. Where was the part about where I calculate that? One second here. I gotta find where this is. And I should probably add this to my bookmarks bar. Let's see. Chapter 1. Appendix. Anticipation. Generating anticipation. Okay. So anticipation. So this is the purchasing advertisements and the promoting of the circus. And let's see. So the advertisement purchase, this just depends on how much money you guys want to put into the advertisement purchase. Will determine how much anticipation that generates. So we have like 12 different tiers with varying levels of costs. So example, tier 1 costs 1 GP, generates 1 anticipation. 2 costs 5, generates 2. 3 costs 20, generates 4. 4 costs 40, generates 6, etc. And then promoting the circus is more of kind of what Honker was mentioning earlier. The going out and spending time in the town, doing some checks, doing like some society checks with the people in town as you're doing little shows for them to generate anticipation that way. So in terms of advertising, how much do you think you guys are wanting to spend on like flyers and stuff?
A pretty big budget because we're in a pretty big market.
Yeah, and I guess so. So just to remind, in terms of how much anticipation you had last time, you had 9 was the anticipation of your last show, and so think of that as a benchmark to kind of go off of. That's what you managed to do last time.
Shoot for higher than that.
Okay. All right. So, in terms of how much anticipation the stuff in town gets, so anticipation from that is if you succeed on the society checks that we do in town for your little street performances, you will generate anticipation equal to your level plus your charisma modifier. So we're all level, what, 5?
Yes.
Okay. So say, for example, we were going off of Honker. A success would generate 9 anticipation with that. Critical success would generate anticipation equal to twice the sum of your level plus the charisma modifier. So that would be 14 on a crit success. Failure would just generate 1 anticipation. Crit failure generates no anticipation. So that's how much we could get from the town stuff. And so kind of taking that into account, how much do you think we want to do flyer-wise? Because remember, you have to exceed the amount of anticipation to successfully have a show. So you don't want to, like, hype people up too much, It's the delicate balance of showbiz.
And we get like bonus if our like anticipation is equal to our performance.
That
right?
yes, you are remembering that correctly. So to have a successful show, the excitement that's generated by the end has to be more than the anticipation you generated. But if you manage to have the anticipation meet the excitement exactly, I believe that there is a bonus to the payout. I can't remember if that also doubles it, or if that is like adds some additional dice throws that add some additional payout into it. But it does make the payout a lot more if you manage to like get that down right on there. But yeah, so you need to at least meet or exceed the anticipation to have a successful show. So you don't want to set the bar too high. So what are we thinking?
Shoot for 9 or 10, however we do that. But I'm kind of getting lost in the options here.
Yeah, it is a little complex of a system. Yeah, you are right. So if we assume that, well, how about this? We can go about it this way, just so we don't completely like fuck ourselves over. So let's do the performing around town first, and see how that plays out. And then based on where we're at anticipation-wise from those little performances in town, we can flyer what we need to get where we want to aim for anticipation. I think that's probably good, and will make things a little less complicated.
Sounds good.
Cool. All right. So you guys decide to head into town and do a little bit of promotion around in the market square and some other popular areas in Escadar, and see what we can get out of all of that. So let's see. Let me take a look at what everybody's society level is. Let's see. Okay, +3. one. Okay. Okay. Oh, Mons has a lot. Okay, cool. All right, so we'll want to decide who of you is going to be the society role, and the others of you can aid on that role if you wish.
That would be me.
Okay, so if we're going to have Honker do the society role, are all three of you going to aid?
There may be somebody else that's better. I was thinking that was charisma for some reason.
Oh, in terms of society, the person with the best society bonus is actually Maz. Maz has a +7 society.
Then we should rely on Moss.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Okay.
Maz is the front man for the street stuff. All right. So, oh, and I guess the aiding, it's only like if it's only one of you that can aid. It doesn't like stack. We can't do like +2, +2, +2, and have like a +6 on top of that. It's just a max of +2 for being aided by that. So, Maz, if you're out here promoting the show in town, what are you doing?
I think she'd probably honestly start out just by like eavesdropping on people to see like what people in town are like thinking, if maybe they're talking about like their plans, or if they're shit talking the other circus, just to see what the temperature is right now.
Sure. So, I mean, at least in terms of what you get going around town, there's just kind of like a general kind of curiosity. You know, new things going up outside of town. Looks like another show. What is it? What do they do? What do they got? Kind of curious to see what's going on. So like there is an air of general interest from the townsfolk. They do want to see what you got. They show them what you got. So go ahead and roll me a society skill check. Very nice. And with the +2 from being aided, that is actually a critical success. So what that's going to put us at for anticipation from this little bit. So 5 plus 4, so 9. So 14 is where we are at for anticipation right now. So if we want to leave it at that, we could just have the street performance be the anticipation generation and hold off on the flyers. If we want to bump that up more, we can. What are you guys thinking? Think 14 is a good number to stay at? Or do you want to try higher?
I think
let's keep it at 14 since we got the weather.
Yeah,
That's
I think
true.
considering last time we were at 9, 14 is a good like
Good stretch goal. Yeah.
increase.
Yeah, I agree.
Cool. Sounds good. Also, hijack. Good to see you. Okay, so anticipation is at 14. We're not going to spend any money on flyering because you guys got out and about with the people. Good stuff. Okay, so the last thing then, it's a whole process running a circus, is of course the acts itself. So we know we got Grotus and we got Honker that are doing some stuff, and of course we got the other people in the circus that can join in as well. Get the list up here. Okay, so for the opener, we need one performer for the opener. Do we want that to be one of the NPC performers, or do you want that to be one of you two?
Well, I have a thought on that.
Okay, yeah, shoot.
If we started with the Flamboni sisters, start with fire on a rainy day, that might kind of seem warm and inviting.
Okay, yeah. That seems like a good idea, actually. Everybody good with that? Starting out with the Flamboni sisters?
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Cool. All right. Dun, 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 dun. Okay. And then for the second act, the build-up, we need 2 performers.
I can help out with that.
Okay. So it sounds like we got Grotus for one of them. And do you want to have just Grotus with one of the NPCs for that one and one of the other rings?
Yeah.
Okay. So in terms of the other ones, we got, the Featherfall 5, so the family of acrobatics, aerialists. We got the Dwarven Throwers with their various explosive things. We got Mordain and Hod, the escape artist and her muscle. And then Eliza Pumpernickel and Mr. Tickles. And yeah, I think those are the main ones we have right now.
I think the Dwarven Throwers might be good for going on at the same time as Grotus.
I was just thinking that too.
Okay. All right, Dwarven Throwers. All right. So, in the midst of all this planning that you guys are doing, and things around town, you guys are all kind of holed up at the tent, kind of getting things worked out with the other performers, figuring out the acts and things like that. Braz, you notice while this is all going on, somebody walking into camp from the direction of the woods. It is a small goblinoid-looking fellow with a very large smile. And he's kind of walking in nervously. He definitely still seems to be a little bit skittish about all of this, but he sees you all in here planning things and decides to walk up to you all and kind of nervously says, hey, you still doing the show?
Hey, you still doing
Yeah.
stuff?
Well, I mean, after you guys came and talked to me out there, it was a little lonely. And I do kind of miss the show of it. Even if, even for all the bad that Mistress Dusklight did to me, you all seem all right. I think I want to join up with you guys and see if maybe circus life with better people does me better. I can transform into my big self if you guys like that. I promise not to eat anybody.
Braz is just like elated that he decided to come and join us. Like, she can't even speak. She's so happy. She's just like standing there with the dumbest, biggest grin on her face.
Goblin supremacy.
Goblin supremacy. All right, so if you guys do want to bring along Kalkek, so yeah, he can do, in terms of performance, he can do his transformation into a greater Barghest, which thrills and chills abound with that kind of performance. Greater Barghest have a kind of folklore reputation, and for the things that it actually be kind of interesting to see, because it isn't something that he ever did at Mistress Dusklight's, because like we learned last time when we were talking with him, they kept him pretty drugged up, and he was mostly there because he was a weird sideshow goblin with this unnaturally large smile, because he was secretly a Barghest. But the drugs kept him down. and so now he can kind of be himself, and maybe not consume some souls like they usually do, but but yeah. So he is in here as well as an NPC if we want to throw him somewhere in here. So
He might be perfect for this show since we are competing so closely against that bitch. Might be a good secret weapon.
that could indeed be a good secret weapon. All right. So that being said, so with Kalkek in the list, let me actually add him to my list of NPCs here, and I can figure out what exactly he does for that. Cool. All right. So all we have left now is the big number and the finale. So the big number is 1 performer, and then the finale is 3 at once. So who do we want for the big number?
I mean, I know we've done Mordain like the past 2 times. Did we want to maybe do the Featherfall 5 this time?
They're Ariel, and we're gonna get punished for Ariel.
Oh, is it punished for Ariel?
From the bad weather. The
Oh.
bad weather roll.
I knew fire was punished, but I didn't realize Ariel.
Yeah, fire and aerial both because of like the wind and the wetness.
But we can combat the fire one with what I'm
Would
doing.
animal handling be considered earth?
Let me take a look at what's considered like an earth trait, because that could be. I'm curious if I could spin Calcec into that somehow.
I mean, it's nature.
Yeah,
Right.
that's what I'm curious of what that would entail. So let me see if I can find. Let's see, Chapter 1, Appendix, tricks. Okay, so tricks, trick traits, earth. Okay, so earth would be a trick involving the use of mud, earth, or stone. I would say, and if you guys have any ideas for this, feel free to show them out. We probably could spin Calcec into doing something with stone, mud, or earth. So, if you have any ideas as to what a big shape-changing wolf monster dude could do with mud, stone, and earth, I will take them and give that to you. So any thoughts on that front? What could Calcec do?
Stone or ground-based trick.
Yeah, mud, stone, earth, something involving that.
And what's in Calcec's wheelhouse again?
Okay, so Calcec is a greater Barghest. Let me get the picture of him because you didn't see him last time. Let's see. This is.
He's delightful. You'll love him.
This is Calcec when he is transformed into a greater Barghest.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, so he's basically kind of like a big goblin-y wolfman thing.
Does he have like a burrow speed or something like that?
Let me see, actually. Let's see, Calcec. Just in terms of his sheet of things. So yeah, he does have his change shape. So he can change, between his goblinoid form and his Barghest form. Let's see. His changing into a Barghest gives him mutations, which his mutations are that he can empathize with wolves and has a very large grin with a powerful tearing bite. And let's see. He can He is able to go invisible at will. He is also able to levitate at will. And he is able to blink between the material and ethereal plane, also at will. And he can open a dimensional door.
Damn, he's cool.
Yeah, Greater Barghest can do some stuff. Oh, and
I'm
he
glad
he also I'm glad you guys befriended him because that could have been real nasty. He can also enlarge. He can cast enlarge and grow his size to the next tier. So yeah, this is all just based off of what's in his sheet, and I am willing to go whatever we can think of with this shit.
Well, maybe we could like incorporate some kind of like set with like rocks that he like kind of disappears into, and then he like when he gets into his bigger form, he bursts through the rocks.
Okay, I'll take it.
I like that. Yeah, definitely. Surprise.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I like it. I dig it. This sounds good. Okay, so Calkek, we'll have him smash. So start out in his normal form, and then do some kind of smash.
Like maybe he can like as a smaller self kind of like put on an active. He's so scared and he goes and hides in the rocks, and then he comes out all big and badass and not scared or something.
Okay, I like it. Okay, and then is there anything particularly like once he's in this form, what kind of things do we want him doing for kind of the main bit of his act?
I'm seeing in my head him like showing off his muscles and like Macho Man is playing.
I think, yeah, he's like juggling boulders or something.
Okay.
I love it.
So you said he had a really strong bite. Arguably, could he bite through stone?
You know what? I will say yes. Why not?
Because if he can juggle while he's juggling the rocks, he could toss one up at the very end and then catch it in his mouth and snap it shut and destroy the rock.
I like it. Okay. You know what? We'll go with that. That sounds good, actually. I like that. Sweet. And I'll take advantage of the earth stuff we got too. Nice. Sounds good. I think that's a good interpretation of what we can get this new guy to do. Sweet. So
Okay, we get opportunities, we utilize them.
hell
We use
yeah.
it for all it's worth.
Hell yeah. All right. So for the finale, we have 3. I know Honker's going to be in there among those 3. But what do we want for the other 2?
Who should be alongside Hunger and Finale?
Yeah, we need two other performers. So since 2 of you are doing off stage things, it has to be 2 of the other NPCs. So Eliza Pumpernickel, Mordain and Hod, Dwarven. Oh wait, no, Dwarven Throws already have Featherfall 5, and yeah, those are the main ones. So
I think we should definitely try to not use the Featherfall 5. I would vote for Elysia and Mordain.
okay.
Yeah,
You guys
I'm
okay
good
with
with that.
Eliza,
Mm-hmm.
Mordain. Okay. Sounds good. Sweet. All right, so we have that planned. Things look like they are all set. So what we're going to do, we're going to take our little break. It's 8:30. And so do what you got to do. Get a drink, take a whiz, whatever. We'll come back in like 10 minutes, and we will do this show and see how it goes. We will see you then. let's kick this back into gear. Okay. So. Get my close all these extra tabs here about all the upgrades. Okay. All right. So, you guys spent a day or two doing all of this prep with the stuff around town, and kind of getting Calkek acclimated. Some of the other circus, especially the sideshow group, Professor and the other folks in the sideshow, they definitely do remember Calkek and are happy to see him be himself and not be completely drugged up and everything like he always was back at the menagerie. So they welcome him with open arms into the fold here. But opening night comes, and as the evening kind of rolls in, so does a bit of a rainstorm off of the coast here. Kind of rolls in from across the ocean, bringing with it like a little bit of wind and some decent rain. But even despite the inclement weather, the turnout is still good. The people in town, they want to know what's going on in this. They want to see what you guys can do, and they are here. There just are the things we'll have to deal with from the weather from your guys' side of things. But so far, things look to be going well. Everybody is getting set up backstage. As this is going on, one of so Maz, you're kind of around doing your security stuff, keeping an eye on things, and one of these circus hands comes up to you, Maz, and presents you with this piece of paper that they had found, which kind of has the appearance of a ticket, but it's kind of silvery and is marked with a ornate CM logo. And they tell you, Maz, there were some people that were selling these tickets to the menagerie out in the crowd for really cheap prices. And they kind of point back in the direction, like kind of little ways outside of the tent, saying that they are kind of up that way, selling these cheap tickets to their competing show here.
Curtis wobbles over, picks up one of the tickets. He goes, "No, this glyph, not again! Everybody, put it down! Don't look at the tickets! Put it down! It's a cursed glyph! The Celestial Menagerie! They're not here for us! Everybody inside! It's safe and it's entertaining. Drop this foul shit."
All right. So Grotus, I'm going to have you roll a. Let's see. Roll a diplomacy check for me.
Can I try deception?
Oh, or deception. Okay, yeah, deception, fine
too.
too.
People to panic over nothing.
Okay, sure. Okay, yeah, go ahead. We'll do deception. That's fine.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the show they don't want you to see, and they'll do anything to get you out of here. They're coated diarrhea powder with a glyph of pissing. So you're going to miss the whole show. You got to drop them now. They ain't fit to stoke the paper they're printed on.
All right, and I will say that because you guys did get the fancy tickets that are yours, that will help with this. Although you didn't really need it with that roll, but you do manage to successfully kind of quash that from happening. You managed to get the crowd to kind of, you see people kind of tossing those aside as they head into your own circus here. So successful on that front. And we head into the show itself, starting in here. So the lights go down. People are filling in the seats here. You guys see Andira somewhere in here, accompanied by some city guard. There's also some other city guard that are kind of posted up outside just to help keep peace and make sure things are fine with people. But she is here to see the show as well. And the Flamboni sisters come out here. The whole tent is dark. There's currently no spotlights on. And the show begins with the sisters. They've stepped out here in the dark, and they ignite these sticks that they have, the fire twirling sticks on the end, and they start doing their routine with these, kind of spinning these sticks in front of them and also like behind them, kind of back and forth. And it kind of gets this interesting appearance of almost like they're making this like whirl of fire around them. It almost makes them look like they're lighting themselves on fire with this. Coco, buddy. Hey, come here, get up this.
Lighting themselves on fire with
Hey,
Coco.
hey, Coco, come here. Get down. Get down. There we go. Okay, now I can see my screen. So they are appearing to light themselves on fire. You can see like this is the only thing lighting up the tent right now, is this blaze around these two sisters here. And with that roll, they successfully do this part. They don't actually light themselves on fire, but they successfully deceive the audience into thinking that they are. And they kind of move into the next part of their trick here, where they bring themselves together. They kind of start circling around each other while continuing to do this. And this fire that they are working with here kind of expands into this large whirlwind of fire around the both of them. And with this, they have to have a bit of fortitude with this to see if they can endure the heat, and they do. Successful on that front. There we go. And so this whirlwind builds and builds, like they're in the center ring of the big top with this right now. And this builds and builds, and then eventually they both stop at the same time and strike this pose. They kind of put one foot out behind them in kind of a lunge, and both of their hands are just like straight up to the sky, almost kind of kamehamehaing the roof of the big top here. And all of this fire that was around them like comes off of them and goes up into the air and towards the roof of the big top. And roll now for that one. And once it gets to the top, it kind of dissipates, and like the whole big top is kind of rained down with these. They almost look like little fireflies. They just kind of rain down over the audience harmlessly, and kind of add this warm glow to the interior of the space. And their act is a success. So with that one, actually, that last one was critical success, and this one was okay. Success, critical success. Sweet. All right, so their act goes off without an issue. So Grotus, you're getting ready for your act here, and Maz, you're off, doing security like you do, and the Featherfall 5, they come up to you where you're posted at, Maz, and they say that there is a man, a kind of gaudily dressed man, they say, who approached them and tried to offer them higher payments to come work for Mistress Dusklight. And they say that the offers were kind of presented with like a bit of a vague threat as well, kind of a work for us or else type thing. And they don't want to leave. Like the Featherfall 5, the family, like they are happy here. They are fine with this. They don't want to leave. But these offers, they've kind of rattled them a little bit. And they say that like some of the other performers have been approached by this character as well. and they're all just kind of like a little kind of mentally shaken by this. Go ahead and roll a diplomacy check for me, Maz. We'll see if you can kind of successfully calm their nerves here a bit about this. All right. So with that roll, you managed to successfully calm down the Featherfall 5, and they also point out. They kind of point across the bleachers and from where you guys are standing, and over. They point out that he's over in kind of the eastern bleachers. They point out where he's sitting to you with that roll that you got, and they say that he's over there right now. You kind of look over there and you see him kind of sitting amongst the various other patrons of the bleachers, and you also recognize that this is looks to be Delamar. This is the guy from the Celestial Menagerie who was at Andira's office when you guys first came to town. Kind of a bit of a gaudy snob oaf bastard man. But yeah, he seems to be sitting in the audience over there across the way.
Okay. So Maz is just gonna reassure, obviously, the performers and be like, look, they're only doing this because they realize how awesome we are and how much they suck. So you guys are safe, and we got this, like, super cool new dude that will just eat them if they try and hurt you. So I wouldn't worry. But thank you for telling me.
All right. So yeah, you do manage to call them down. Do you do anything else with this information, Maz?
Oh yeah, she's gonna go over there.
Okay.
She's gonna go talk to Delmar. She didn't like him very much the last time they met.
All right. Let me see here.
Throat punch him.
Well, you are in the middle of a show right now. So, I mean, you can, but just let you know. And Andira is also here, so so yeah, so you kind of head over that way. We'll start with this. So Maz, you head over to that side of things, and you kind of post yourself up, at that bleacher, pretty much kind of like right below where he's sitting. Like you got your eye on him. He's right here. He's like kind of up the bleacher steps, but you got your eyes on him. You're right next to him here.
I just adjust my top hat because I'm wearing the top hat from the old ringmaster, by the way.
Oh, okay.
Because I took it. I don't know if you remember that, but I took it.
I do.
Oh my God, yeah.
I do recall that you did take the hat. Yes.
So Maz is wearing the hat very proudly, and she just like slightly adjusts it and then gives Delmar the biggest stink eye.
All right, I dig it. Okay, so while that is going on, Grotus, you and
You need me to roll an intimidation check.
you know what? Go ahead and roll an intimidation check, and we'll see if that factors in at some point. So go ahead and do that.
Yes.
Damn.
That's why I asked.
All right. Very nice. All right, we will keep that in mind. Grotus, so the second part of the show is up. You got your ring. Dwarf Throwers got their ring. What are you doing, Grotus, this time around?
Well, I mean, we're happy to have our Dwarven Throwers back so much. So I think I'm going to be in a little bit of Dwarf Dodgeball.
Okay.
So it's kind of like a comedy skit. It starts off with like the dwarves drinking and juggling mugs of beer. Drunken Dingleberry, that's me, comes in, catches one out of the air and starts drinking it. So the dwarves start throwing their brothers at him, and he just kind of like Mr. Magoo, stumbling kung fu around them, or like grab and tosses them back, and it kind of escalates.
Okay. All right. And let's see. So I know you had. Trying to remember what you. Let me pull up your thing here. Okay. So go ahead and roll a. See, I'm trying to remember what it was, which skill of yours we had your check rolling on.
Acrobatics.
I think that's what we had. That sounds right. So yeah, go ahead and roll acrobatics.
Shit.
All right. Well, with that still passes. So you're good on that front. It's just a success. All right. So we'll do that. That successfully goes off with the dodging and the catching of the drink. You've now got this alcoholic drink. What are you doing?
Oh, right, there's multiple steps to it. So I got it. There are dwarves thrown at me.
Mm-hmm.
And so then it gets to the parts where I'm not just dodging dwarves that are throwing and kind of like stumbling around as they're trying to tackle him. Then it comes up to like he has to start like then the barrel stuff comes in, so they start rolling barrels at him. So he's got to like do like the thing where he's dancing on the barrels, while they're rolling.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's basically just more like Jackie Chan stuff getting at it.
All right, Jackie Chan stuff. All right, dig it.
Right. He's got to roll on a bar stool on top of a barrel.
Okay, go ahead and give me your check for that one. All right. Still a success. Let's see. Actually, if I remember right, let me make sure I have the right calculation for excitement generation on the PC side. All right, so you perform a check. Okay, so you generate excitement equal to Turk's level. Turk's total excitement ratio. Okay, that's right. Okay, so you do. Okay. All right, and how do you finish out your little performance here with your Jackie Chan stuff?
So after the rolling and tumbling on top of stools and barrels and things, it comes down to the dwarven throwers all stack themselves up, so they're like 6 dwarves on top of each other,
Okay.
balancing, and then they have the last spear on top of that. So he's got to climb the dwarven throwers to get to the top, and then jump back down.
Okay. All right, go ahead and do your last roll for that one. Very nice. Critical success. All right, so with the critical success, let me double check. Okay, so the critical success generates excitement equal to Turk's level. Add to the circuit's total excitement, he'll generate. Okay, so the critical success also makes more anticipation equal to half the Turk's level. Okay, so that would actually make. So the critical success from the Flamboni sisters earlier, the anticipation is at 15 now. And then you had your crit success. And all right, so that's 5. And that adds an additional 1, 2, rounded up, so 3 anticipation. And then I was rolling for the Dwarven Throwers in the midst of all that for their half of things. And they actually had 2 critical successes, so that adds 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. All right. Going good so far. Anticipation is high, excitement is high. Okay, so the big number. while this is happening, so Honker and Braz, you guys have been kind of backstage. Braz helping with the pyrotechnics stuff. And, oh, that's right, the pyrotechnics thing factors into the excitement as well. That was, what, double the excitement on a success? Math! Math everywhere.
Which math?
Yeah, I'm checking. Let's see. Non-performing. Okay. There it is. Non-performer rolls. Okay. Pyrotechnic. Trick checks with fire generate double excitement. That's right. Okay. So that would mean that the first act, 2, and then 2, and then 4 for their critical success. Okay, cool. Okay, just making sure that we all have that right. So, yeah, Braz and Honker, you guys have been backstage this whole time, helping out with things, getting ready for your own stuff. Rolling a perception check, both of you. Okay, so, Braz. All right. While you're back here, you manage to catch a glimpse of what looks like it appears to be a tiefling, but they seem to be kind of partially invisible in some way. But you see them kind of lurking around back here. Like you see him kind of hiding behind some barrels, kind of just outside the southern part of the tent. But you kind of see that you kind of see this outline of him from his kind of partial invisibility out of the corner of your eye.
Okay, I'll go over there.
All right. Let's see. So you head over there. And what do you do? What do you do to this guy? What do you do as you kind of stroll up?
Hey, you there? What are you doing?
All right. So you kind of walk up, and as you kind of call out, you see him kind of quickly look around, and you kind of hear him mutter, "Oh shit!" And he stands up and reveals himself because he knows he's caught. And standing in front of you here, you see a tiefling with he has these very long horns and a number of facial tattoos that make him almost look a little reptilian, just from the way the patterns are. They're kind of like these scale looking tattoos. And you see that he's kind of holding this this kind of long, fanciful pipe. You roll a history check for me, actually, really quick.
We don't have history.
Or
Lore?
not lore. Sorry, lore. Yeah, I keep forgetting it's lore, not history. Okay. So you remember. So when we first got to Escadar, Nini, who isn't here with us right now, Nini had gone over and snuck into the menagerie's camp to kind of get a look around, cause a little mayhem, that sort of thing. And you recall them talking to you about how they had listened to a conversation that a couple of tieflings were having in one of the tents. And one of them was a kind of greenish tiefling with long horns, facial tattoos, and smoke. Lots of smoke. Who was disgruntled with the menagerie. You recall this. You sound seems to match the description of this person that Nini had been listening to. But yeah, so this guy, he's kind of standing there, kind of a little sheepishly, and he's like, "Oh well, hey there. I guess you got me, huh?"
Yeah, you think? What are you doing here?
And he kind of scratches the back of his head a bit, and he's like, "Well, Mistress isn't too she isn't too fond of competition, you see, and well, she sent a couple of us over here to rough things up. I was supposed to, well, I do smoke tricks, blow smoke. I was supposed to kind of blow some smoke on your animals and make them a little sick, kind of fuck with your show a bit. But I mean, it seems a bit much, don't you think? I mean, Mistress is kind of a bitch,
No, she's not kind of a bitch. She's a giant bitch.
Well, I'm glad you agree. At least we're on the same front. There. I'll tell you what. I'll leave your animals alone. You got me, fair and square. I didn't really want to do this anyway, but keep an eye out for there's two others that came with me. They might be causing some stuff elsewhere, so keep an eye out. Just so you know.
Will do.
And he kind of he blows like this little cloud of smoke and kind of disappears into it and goes somewhere out of sight. But you seem to have dealt with that before he got to the trouble. All right, so the big number comes up, and the spotlights come up, and they are pointing at the middle of the rings here. And there's the stage hands have kind of set up a variety of rocks. There's kind of like a little landscape of sorts. You've made use of all of the rocks that you guys dug up and kind of moved around to clear the space and get the tent set up. They came in handy here as landscape set pieces, I guess. So you got these all set up, and Kalkek, he had gone out there already and was invisible. Since he's able to do that, and so he'd cast invisibility on himself, and he just kind of walks out from behind one of the rocks and like appears just out of nowhere, and he stands there in the middle with his big grin. Oh, we lost Quick. Oh, well, we didn't lose the. Did you lose your?
No, I look like I'm still
okay.
Connected.
All right, we'll give him a moment here to get back. Yeah, looks like yeah. I don't see any disconnection on this end for either of you.
From what I can tell from the remote, his internet didn't go out.
All right, we'll give him a minute and see if he comes back, and if not, we'll just kind of continue on. Hopefully, they're back before we get to the stuff involving Honker. All right. So yeah, I guess we'll go on with what Kalkek's up to. So yeah, he steps out of the darkness here and appears, and you see him in his kind of goblinoid form with his kind of strangely huge smile. And he's standing there in the spotlight, and you can tell there's like kind of a little bit of nervousness because he used to be inside. He used to be inside Joe at the menagerie, so like this kind of stuff isn't really his forte in the past, but he's willing to give it a go for you guys. So, and you notice Maz, like you're still kind of over here posted up next to Delmar here, who's just been sitting in his seat. Whatever he was doing earlier, whether that was the selling of the tickets or whatever, you're not sure, but he seemed, I guess he was trying to recruit people, but he seems to be sitting in the seat and watching the show. you can see he has kind of a bit of a surprised expression on his face, seeing Kalkek walk out here. So Kalkek, he walks out, he's smiling, he's got this big grin, and he kind of jumps up into the air. And in the middle of jumping into the air, he polymorphs into his greater Barghest form and comes smashing down on these rocks. Welcome back, Rick. Comes smashing down on these boulders in his greater Barghest form, kind of lets out this roar, and you can hear the crowd. You can hear the gasps. You can hear the gasps in the crowd, like, oh, whoa. Definitely weren't expecting this. And let me roll that one here. Okay, so with that would be... Alright, so that... one... Okay. Alright, so he smashes back down with these boulders, transforming into his Barghest self, shocking the crowd, and then begins picking up these shattered boulders and juggling them around. And all the while he's doing this, he's like kind of looking out across the audience, and he's still got this just huge, kind of very, very toothy and somewhat scary, lopsided, huge grin. But it's also a little bit, it's kind of humorous too. You got this big werewolf-looking monster guy with this weird smile, and he's juggling rocks. It's quite a roller coaster of emotions for the crowd here. And let me roll that one up. So with that bonus, that also passes. Okay. And as the finale for these boulders, he's throwing them around, and the crowd is eating it up, and he moves into eating things up himself and throws the boulders up into the air. He had 3 of them, and as they fall back down, kind of in order, each of them just bites through all 3 of them, and they kind of shatter into a number of pieces everywhere. And he kind of takes this bow, and with his huge smile, you think you see him kind of give the crowd a bit of a wink of sorts. It's hard to tell, but with that, he right, and with his bonuses though, that still passes. It's no critical successes, but it's still successes across the board. Okay, so that brings us to the finale, and with the various things that you guys had done with the tickets, and with keeping an eye on Delmar, and also catching the other guy backstage, finale goes off without any extra hitches from that front. So with Honker and Eliza and Mordain, Honker, what are you doing?
Yeah, I'll come in on my clown car, juggling these bowling pins that I carry around. And I've got a new mask on this time. I'm
Okay.
wearing this demon mask that I found
Okay.
in a pile of things.
Oh,
So,
right. Yeah.
and then when I do the full circle, I'll kind of flip off the cart with a flourish of my cape that I got from Great Fortunato.
Okay. All right. And what were we rolls? Were we doing just performance rolls on yours? I think it was.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'd roll performance.
Okay.
Right.
I think that's what we had decided as your trick check. Yeah. All right. 16. All right. That passes with a success. All right. And what are you doing from here?
For the second part, I, with a great honk of my nose there, I will light one of the bowling pins on fire,
What?
and then I'll use kill touch on another one to like freeze it.
Okay.
I'm gonna continue juggling those.
All right. Go ahead and do your check roll for that one.
Way to face your fear.
And since it doesn't,
We're so proud of you.
and since it does involve fire, that does get the bonus from our pyrotechnic assistant here.
Hell yeah.
All right, that does pass, and so with that, that will double the excitement that generates. Very nice. All right, and how are you closing things out?
To close things, I'll use my ghost sound cantrip.
Okay.
To like kind of rile up the crowd, right? To like kind of in a couple different spots in the crowd, I'll just make like sounds of, some rowdy person cheering on to kind of
Okay.
get them, a little more worked up into it. And then I will let me see. I don't really have any other. Oh, I got some balls. Yeah, I do. I will.
I can see it on your face, Moog.
I will add a good, half dozen balls to this mix, and like do it in such a way that they all catch on fire. Like they move past the bowling pin, right? And
Okay.
kind of catch on fire as I'm doing this. And then for the last part, because it's the grand finale, I'm doing this while on the little pedal clown cart that I've got.
Right. Okay. All right, go ahead and roll as well. Nice. All right. A success once again. Very nice. All right, so while this is happening with Hunker in one of the rings here, we have Eliza doing her routine as well. And Eliza's routine, she comes out and she actually has Mr. Tickles almost kind of mimicking like he is a like he's a staff, like think like Jafar staff sort of thing. And so she comes out with Mr. Tickles like this, and you see her kind of whisper some words and kind of wave at the staff with her other hand, and Mr. Tickles loosens up and slithers to the ground and kind of coils up in a little motion here with that. And let's see, that's gonna be very nice. That is a critical success, so I gotta add that to the anticipation too. Okay. All right. And let's see. So now that with that is on the ground. Okay, so she begins kind of doing this little dance around along with Mr. Tickles here, and she has like a little instrument along with her. It's like it looks like a small like lute of sorts, and she's playing this lute, and Mr. Tickles is kind of getting up and kind of stretching up tall, so his face is kind of right about the level of her face, and it almost looks like they're kind of like dancing with each other. He's kind of stretched up to like the height of a dude, and they are kind of doing this little routine here together with this music. And let's see, that is a success. That just passes. And then for the last bit of her routine here, Mr. Tickles as they're kind of circling around each other, Mr. Tickles stops, and somehow, like, he kind of contorts his snake form into kind of like almost like a rudimentary like chair shape with his head up at the top. He's kind of looking out, and you see his like tongue flicking out, but like the rest of him is kind of like almost like a chair. And Eliza kind of, gingerly like sits down on this chair, and the rest of him that is kind of trailing behind coils up and like lifts her up, and like just kind of like slowly spins her around while she kind of finishes out this song with her lute here. And that is another critical success. I gotta add that to the anticipation. Okay. All right. And finally, Mordain, also in the third ring, doing her act as well. She comes out along with Hod, and they begin their trick with... let's see here. So Hod begins kind of binding Mordain up in a variety of chains and locks. And let's see if that goes successfully here. I don't know why that's not showing, but it is a success. And so we get her successfully bound up, and she is put into a small crate. Like, he sets the small crate down on the ground, and she sets her down into it, and then kind of slowly presses her head down. She kind of bends forward into this crate as it closes, and closes this, and then locks it shut. And then Hod stands up on top of the crate, and the various stagehands come out, and there is a curtain that is pulled up around them here. And let's do the perception roll for that. Okay, so that one does not quite succeed. The curtain, as it's brought out, it seems to have gotten damaged at some point, and has kind of a nasty tear in the side that kind of sours the illusion a little bit, and so that does not quite generate enough excitement. But the last bit of this, the stagehands drop the curtain, and as the curtain drops, you see... as the curtain drops, Mordain is standing on top of the crate, and she steps off and unlocks the crate with a key, and Hod sits up from inside the crate, bound with chains, much to everyone's surprise, and that is
Kinky.
a success indeed. All right, and that brings us to the end of the show here. Let's see how we did. So, in the course of the show, with the additional critical successes that happened, total anticipation for the show ended at 22 for anticipation. So for excitement, we have to meet or exceed that. So let's see, we have 5, 6, 7, 8, and 3, 4, 5, 5. Oh wow, yeah, we definitely exceeded. The bump in level that we got definitely helps, because that increases the level of your guys' tricks. And so just getting a success on your trick is 5 excitement for you guys right now, because you're level 5. So we blew past the necessary amount for anticipation. It looks like we are like up in the 30s. Yeah. Yeah, we are about at 40 for excitement. And 22 anticipation was what we needed. Let me double check what the payout calculation is, which is doubled because this was a successful show, even in the rain. Nicely done. Very nice, very nice. Where is that at? Promoting seconds payout. Where is that? Earning payout. Okay. Degrees of success. Okay. Success. Okay, yep. Okay, so payout is prestige plus final anticipation. So our prestige level at this point was 3, which now goes up to 4 because of the successful show for next time. So 3 plus anticipation is 25. And doubled is 50. So nice. And let's see. What's this one here? Oh, that's the failure calculation, which we did just fine. Sweet. So yeah. A 50 gold profit out of this. From the show. So let me go throw that.
And how much did we spend on our upgrades?
With the upgrades, it was we spent 70 on the upgrades. 50 of that was the permanent upgrade of the watermark tickets, so you won't have to pay that one again. And that will just
we almost got all our investment back.
Yeah. And now the watermark tickets, you don't have to pay that one anymore, and the merch will be providing anticipation bonuses for the next time around. So yeah, let's see. Toss that out around the party. Sweet. All right. So the show finishes. The crowd goes wild. Things went well. You guys managed to prevent some more drastic things happening. So nice job there, security guard, and others.
Very frightening.
Indeed, very, very frightening.
Top hat.
The top hat. Yeah, they meant business with that top hat on.
It shows authority.
All right, so let me see if there's anything else that I have here. Post show. Is there anything here? Okay. Yeah. Okay. That was with the show then. So the show goes off. After the show, the crowd has been heading out with their various merch purchases and
ashtrays.
Yeah, their ashtrays and their honker minis and their commemorative cups that have little lights in the bottom for some reason. And God, I swear, like every fucking restaurant in Times Square in New York City has fucking commemorative cups with stupid little lights in the bottom.
I haven't been to any of those. I immediately thought of like when I went to those like Toy Story on Ice things or whatever when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I mean, same sort of thing. Like, I think it was like I remember I went on a trip to New York in high school with our show choir, and I remember we went to what was it?
The most authentic Red Lobster in Times Square.
It was like this. What was it? Oh yeah, it was a Bubba Gump Shrimp Company that we went to in Times Square. It was like a seafood chain. And they had like commemorative cups, which were just like these, pretty run-of-the-mill plastic tall kind of cups. But like the bottom part had this little electronic bit in the bottom part that if you turned it on, there was little lights that like went around on the bottom, and of course it like had their logo on the side, and like you could buy it if you wanted to, and it was like, why would I need a Bubba Grump shrimp light up
To remember the experience you had.
I guess so. But after the show here, as people are spreading out, Andira comes and finds you all, and congratulates you on a successful show. Like she was very impressed. She was happy to see that it went off without a hitch. She does like inquire, like there wasn't any. I know we didn't see any trouble up in the front, but you guys didn't have to deal with anything in the back, did you?
Mistress Dust sent a few people to harass us, but we scared them off a little bit. Not like in a bad way, like a hey, you should get out of here because that's not nice kind of way.
Right.
We were very professional
Hey,
about
Slipknot,
it.
good to see you. Nice, yeah. So yeah, she's happy to hear that there wasn't any major incident. But she does mention that you kind of hear her mutter under her breath, like, "Oh, I'll have to speak to Delamar about this." And so you see her kind of taking note of this as she leaves. But yeah, generally, she seems pretty pleased with the turn of events here with your guys' little show, and is happy to have you guys around Escadar for however long you all happen to be here. So, the morning after the show here, the rain has cleared up. It was kind of a rainy night throughout the night, even after the show. But the various circus folk are around, doing their various tasks and things. And you recall, now that this kind of first circus is out of the way, your thoughts are kind of trailing towards the reason for coming to Escadar in the first place. You recall your little adventure here in the tower, the failing Aeon orb, and that there was something here in Escadar that you had to go after. And now that the initial circus show is out of the way and the city isn't kind of on your back to make sure you guys can actually stay here, that's kind of at the forefront of your mind.
Oh, yes, our side hustle.
Your side hustle, indeed. So the main thing in mind, the main name that comes to mind is this Moonstone Hall that you recall hearing about, and where this is. What is it? What's in there? You don't recall seeing a Moonstone Hall in town, as you guys have been around, promoting yourself and doing your various shopping things. Like all of the notable buildings, you're aware of. None of them are named that. So you're not quite sure where this could be.
But hopefully we've drummed up enough goodwill that we might be able to.
Hopefully, yes. Yeah, hopefully, yes. So yeah, so for now, kind of be thinking about. So I mean, all that we know about Moonstone Hall, from what we learned in earlier sessions, is that it was some sort of structure, some sort of hall where, some sort of important business was done in the past. It is apparently pretty old, and clearly is not at least visible here as far as you can tell. So, but you're not sure how old. So maybe maybe we can ask around. Maybe there's things we can check into there. But kind of keep that in mind with that. But I think for today we will call that good. With the planning and the running of our first successful Escadar show, and we'll get into the search for Moonstone Hall next time when we come back around. But good job. Good job tonight. Good
Yeah.
stuff. All right.
Go, team.
So with that, let me take a look and see who we can send y'all over to here on the stream. Who I got who's doing stuff. Oh, hello. Hi, Pumpkin. Welcome, welcome. Okay, I'll send this over to a friend of mine who is not directly playing D&D or Pathfinder like this, but they are playing Baldur's Gate 3, so that's close enough. I'm sure I'll get around to that one too eventually, because it looks real good. We'll see you too, Jack. Thanks for coming. All right.
Guys, good gaming. Get to crashing.
Sounds good.
But I have a month of summer left, so hit me up if you want to do literally any more expensive gaming.
Mugo Muffins, thank you for the raid. Hello.
Later, y'all.
Hello, hello.